Okay, you've been wanting this video, and maybe some of you might not even know who Mizensir is, but today you're going to learn about it. It's Mizensir, a top 12 list. 2 bonuses, all coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. We're talking about Mizensir. I discovered Mizensir when I did a trip to London. I discovered the brand at Harrods. And then I think I also saw the fragrances at Selfridges. This was December, January of 2019. So they're slowly getting around, and I believe Mizensir actually has a boutique, a store, a walk-in store in New York City. Is that true? I believe so, because I follow Alberto Morillas, who creates all the fragrances for this brand, Mizensir. It's run by his daughter, and I saw him go to New York, go to a boutique, so most likely they have a boutique, which is amazing. I'd love to go visit and perhaps meet Mr. Alberto Morillas, because he is a master perfumer, and he creates some amazing fragrances. I like stuff he creates more for niche houses versus things he creates for designers, especially designers, you know, main collections or signature collections. He's got some really great fragrances here, and he seems to be using a lot of different molecular notes too. So I've got 12 fragrances here. It's all about Mizensir today. Why don't we go ahead and get started at number 12. Don't forget there's 2 bonuses after the outro. The first one I'm talking about is called Luxury. So Luxury at number 12. This is a musky, powdery fragrance experience. Basically, if you like the idea of powders, a little baby powderish, a little vanillic, a little resinous, and a little, well, definitely the powderiness comes from iris, but there's also a little bit of a citrusy touch in here as well. You're going to probably like this one. Luxury features notes of muscenone, which is basically musk. There's also tonka beans here, white musk, Tahitian vanilla, benzoin, ambrox, iris, Irone, orange blossom, and bergamot. So muscenone is probably a proprietary ingredient that Alberto Morillas uses over at Firmenich, which is where he works at. If you guys don't know Firmenich, it's a firm that houses lots of different perfumers, and they all work together and create fragrances. Like Nathalie Lorson is at Firmenich, Olivier Cresp is also at Firmenich, and so on. So there's many different perfumers there. So muscenone and Irone. Irone is basically iris. So it's a very powdery experience, but also has some sweetness and some floral touches, but very musky. So Luxury is at number 12 from the house of Mizensir. How many of you does know Mizensir? Do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. I'd like to know if you're a fan of this house and if you've discovered it. And there's one fragrance that I've been speaking a lot about. You'll know if you know my channel or know me. I've been talking a lot about it. It's going to end up at number 1. But moving on to Cologne du Mat, or Cologne du Mate, I believe is what it's called, because it uses mate note. Mate is that kind of green grassy, earthy tea drink that it's drunk in South America. So this is mate, sage, mandarin, paradisone, which is jasmine floral note, vulcanolide, which is white musk, and solar woods, it says. So this definitely to me is once again musky and also green grassy, a little bitter, but it's got lots of freshness, and the freshness comes from mandarin and probably also the paradisone note. For me, I really like this mate, and I don't like some other mate in fragrances. This one to me acts like figs, like fig leaves, but it's freshened up quite a bit. So that's what I like about this one. Cologne du Mate at number 11. So they use the word cologne because, you know, it wears like a cologne. It's very fresh. Next at number 10, it's Cologne du Figuier. So we got another cologne fragrance here. So we got the Cologne du Mate, now we got the Cologne du Figuier. To me, as I said, Cologne du Mate smells like there's fig in it because it's very green and earthy. Here, it's also very bitter. There's major bitterness here, and also extreme sharpness. So if you like sharp fragrances, definitely check this one out. It wears very metallic, so you gotta like that sharp metallic experience. But it's bergamot, grapefruit, fig leaf, ambrox. It's an amber woody synthetic note, galbanum, pink pepper, vulcanolide, which is mineral musk, Cetalox, which is ambergris. So as I said, this is very fig-like, but we're not using the fruit here whatsoever. It's the greens, and it acts very ice cold and very green, sharp, and metallic. So bitterness is very, very present here. Somebody was really mentioning the other day on an Instagram post, why aren't bitter fragrances not very popular? If you like the idea of bitter fragrances, look for fig leaves, look for galbanum, all these bitter greens. Definitely, those are the kind of fragrances you're going to discover bitter fragrances with, or notes is actually what I should say. So this is Cologne de Figuier at number 10. So I do want to say, this collection, when I first discovered it in December, January 2019, 2020, it was 2018, 2019 when I visited London. Sorry about that. So it was a while ago that I discovered it. But when I discovered this collection at Harrods and then Selfridges, I immediately said, oh my god, there's already a lot of fragrances here. How am I going to get through all of these fragrances? So there's a ton of fragrances in this collection. So if you like a collection of fragrances with a lot of variety, this is definitely a collection you should dig into. You probably have to buy a ton of different discovery sets to, discover every single fragrance. But moving on to number 9, it's MYTHIQUE Vetiver, this one right here. And MYTHIQUE Vetiver is a fresh aromatic take on Vetiver. So I like this one because the lemon is pretty prominent here, and it adds this very unique contrast and freshness and tartness to this kind of very earthy, grassy, a little damp take on Vetiver. There's also the papyrus note, very unique earthy note, which really does complement Vetiver because papyrus to me has Vetiver-like qualities, and the geranium adds a kind of a herbal, aromatic quality to the fragrance. MYTHIQUE Vetiver at number 9. I think if you're a Vetiver lover, definitely check that out. Moving on to number 8, it's Ambre Magique. I recently featured this yesterday in another video. Ambre Magique is a rose take on amber, so it's very rosy. If you like the idea of roses with amber experience, definitely check this one out. So it features notes of rose, Cachalox, which is amber note, vanilla, Dreamwood, which is sandalwood, Helvetalide, which is musk, cardamom, orange blossom. So as you see, they are reporting these synthetic notes that they're using, and I really like Helvetalide in fragrances, and it really is prominent here, but it's also very, very creamy and powdery as well. That sandalwood has a very creamy quality to it, but it's all about amber, and it's a very rosy, vanillic, powdery amber experience. So Ambre Magique at number 8. Moving on to number 7, this is the latest fragrance that's come out here in the States. Mizensir has 2 websites. They have a USA website and a European website, and the fragrances come out here just a little later. This is Blue Gin, and this one was featured in an ice cold fragrances video. In fact, Cologne de Figuier can also go into that video. They're both very ice cold, but gin and juniper is a very ice cold, sharp metallic experience. But in this case, it's a little more not vodka, gin-like you're experiencing the actual drink, the booze. So it's juniper berry, mandarin orange, Sichuan pepper, black pepper, cascalone, which is basically a fresh aquatic note, Irone, which is iris, Cetalox, which is Ambrox, and Tonka. So yeah, anyway, it's very sharp and metallic. As I said, it's very, very ice cold. It wears perfectly in the heat. It's very, very refreshing, but you gotta like the kind of bitterness here. There's a little bitterness, not as bitter as the Cologne de Figuier, but there's definitely some bitterness here, but it's all about this very, very metallic experience, like steel, very, very cold steel with Blue Gin. So Blue Gin at number 7 is quite fresh. Moving on to number 6, it's Perfect Oud. Perfect Oud is a very spicy, citrusy, and rosy take on oud. Again, I've smelled a lot of oud fragrances. This is the Mizensir version, but I think it's quite nice. I have 2 ouds here, but one of them I left off as a bonus fragrance. It's Ideal Oud versus Perfect Oud. I prefer Perfect Oud much more because it's more perfect for me. Haha. Anyway, but yeah, this one's very spicy. It features bergamot, coriander, Bulgarian rose, iris, oud, Alaskan cedarwood, cade, and juniper. Lots of woody notes here, but I like this contrast of the rose with this. It's a little powdery from the iris, and there's some spiciness here as well, along with some freshness. Perfect Oud at number 6. Have you guys tried that one? Do let me know as I'm going through the list of fragrances if you've tried any of these fragrances, so I can find out and find out how many of you knows this brand first of all, and which fragrances you guys know about. Because as I said, I discovered this brand 2018/2019. I was in London both in December and January. and I went to Selfridges and Harrods, and they were selling them there, and at that time there was already a lot of fragrances. Now the collection is even grown further, but they're quality fragrances, very wearable, very niche. Some are a little more easier to wear than others, but definitely quality. This next fragrance called Rose Exaltante. I really love wearing this one in the summertime. It's very fresh, and as you can see, I've worn quite a bit of this one. This one to me does remind me of someone. I used to have a customer when I was very young. I used to work a lot in photo labs. Photography is what was my passion. So a lady used to come in and smelled like roses, and this smells just like her. I don't know why it reminds me of her, but it does. But to me, it's a metallic and thorny rose, if that makes sense. It features notes of styrax, muscanone, which is a musk, exaltone, which is musk, oud, chamomile, Bulgarian rose, paradisone, which is a floral jasmine note, and pink pepper. So the Bulgarian rose is really strong here, and I feel like this is a rose fragrance, so it's really, really overwhelming. And as I said, it's kind of a thorny, sharp metallic rose, but there's some sweetness there, there's some oudiness there, and some kind of grassy experience as well. It's fantastic. I really love it. It just totally takes me back to when I was very young, like in my early 20s, like 20, 21, and this lady came in smelling of roses. Anyway, Rose Exaltante is a great smell. I really love that one, and I love wearing it in the heat. Moving on, this next one is also great in the heat. This is Eau de Gingembre. Oh man, I'm obsessed with the smell of ginger lately and the flavor. And this one does not disappoint. If you like the idea of fresh, spicy ginger fragrances, you gotta check out Eau de Gingembre. It's at number 4 here, and I really think it's great. To me, it smells like when you bite into like fresh cut ginger. I've done it before, even though I don't recommend you eating it, but I put it in my mouth before. The taste and smell is great. That's what this reminds me of, a fresh take on it. But it's Calabrian bergamot, ginger, Tunisian neroli, petitgrain, fig leaf, cypress, white woods, and ginger. Did I say ginger already? There's ginger here. Lots of ginger. It's a ginger bomb. So I do recommend this one a lot. It is a very fresh fragrance, so you're going to probably like this and utilize it more in the heat. But anytime you want this kind of fresh spiciness in the you know, cool winter weather, definitely try Eau de Gingembre. Really great fragrance. At number 3, it's Vert Empire. Vert Empire is a very green petitgrain fragrance, and it has kind of vegetal notes contrasted with the kind of bitter greenness. This I would call a bitter citrus fragrance, because petitgrain to me is bitter. Angelica is also bitter, so the combination is a bitter experience. But for me, the petitgrain in here, traditionally it's bitter. It's a lot sweeter than traditional petitgrain, but it's a great smell. It's a citrus, bitter green. It's very green. It's called Vert Empire. It features petitgrain, angelica, mandarin orange, sage, cardamom, paradisone, which is the jasmine floral note, and ambrox. So it eventually dries down to become an ambery fragrance experience, but it's got floral notes, got green notes and citrus notes, and then that angelica, this very, very unique floral note that kind of to me is powdery, a little vegetal as well. So Vert Empire at number 3. This next one's really yummy. This is Très Cher, this one right here at number 2, and of course it's vanilla. It's vanillic and it's delicious. It's powdery, very powdery for me. And it reminds me of a butterscotchy, caramelly, vanillic powder dessert kind of a thing, you know? So to me, also the vanilla is not intense. It's not overly vanillic. I don't know why, but it's almost acting like it's contrasted with a lot of stuff that kind of strips away the sweetness of the vanilla. But it's bourbon vanilla, it's exaltone, which is a musk, sandalwood, ambrox, which is woody ambery, paradisone, which is jasmine floral, and then there's also jasmine sambac. So there's definitely a floral experience here, but it's really vanillic, and bourbon vanilla is prominent here. But as I said, it acts like it's been stripped away from its vanillic qualities, even though it's a vanilla, and it definitely has kind of like a butterscotchy, caramelly experience. So Très Cher at number 2, and my number 1 favorite fragrance from Mizensir still is For Your Love. I discovered this in 2019 as a great alternative to Baccarat Rouge 540, and it's become a favorite of mine. And I can also say this, you know, ignited my love for Baccarat Rouge a little as well, because this is very musky and it's also very ambroxany, but they're using Cachalox here instead of ambroxan, and Cachalox is the replacement note for Ambergris. So it's exaltone, which is musks, Cachalox, which is Ambergris, raspberry, benzoin, and patchouli. Hey, you gotta love the patchouli in here. It's contrasted beautifully with the raspberry note. It's very, very musky, and of course that amber woodiness from the Ambergris experience is great. It's very very sexy, it smells great in the heat, musky, and it has great trail. For Your Love at number 1. Are you a fan of For Your Love? Are you a fan of Mizensir? Do let me know. Let me know which fragrances I should check out, because as I said, they have a huge catalog. I don't even know if I can catch up with their catalog, but they have some excellent releases, great wearable fragrances, and as I said, do let me know which fragrances I should check out, so I can write a note down and slowly discover more fragrances from Mizensir. Anyway guys, if you had these fragrances, how would you rank them? Other than that guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Please do like this video, please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, I've got 2 more bonus fragrances, as I said. One of them is that oud, but first I'm going to talk about L'Ambre du Lis, this one right here. So this is a lily focused fragrance. It's a floral fragrance experience. It's got lots of white musks here with sandalwood, tuberose, orange blossom, Irone, which is jasmine, and neroli. So from what I've read, you can't really extract, distill, or take the essence from lilies. So they're using other floral notes in here to create the smell of lilies. And it does smell like lilies. To me it reminds me of Easter lilies, but this is kind of, it's got like a woody and musky backbone, so there's a lot of that contrasted against the lily-like smell. But if you like the idea of a woody take on lilies, definitely check out L'Ambre du Lis. And then last but not least, it is Ideal Oud. I didn't care for this one as much as I prefer Perfect Oud. I think this one reminds me of something I already have. Maybe that's why I didn't care for it. I'm kind of starting to hate redundant fragrances, so maybe that's why. Although it's not a bad fragrance, I just put it as a bonus fragrance because it does remind me of something else I had, or I have. It's Bulgarian Rose, Rose de Mai, Pink Pepper, Ylang Ylang, Saffron, Laotian Oud, Bourbon Vanilla, Papyrus, Labdanum. This one does seem a little more complex than Perfect Oud, but I put it here, just wanted to let you guys know about it. But I have something like this already that I've worn before. But anyway, maybe you like it more than Perfect Oud. Do let me know, put a comment down. But other than that guys, see you soon. Bye bye.